Welcome to Grand Sumo Breakdown, the official sumo podcast for unofficial sumo fans.
Nope. Try again.
Nope,
No?
that's beautiful.
Other way.
Okay. Let me try that one more time. Welcome to Grand Sumo Breakdown, the official sumo podcast.
Nope. Same one.
Official sumo podcast?
We're not official. We're not like sponsored. We're not like tied to the actual JSA East.
All right.
So
screw
we're
this. I'm gonna
unofficial,
say-
but the
We're
fans
the
are
unofficial.
All right. We're the official sumo podcast for official sumo fans. I am calling this official this time. It's my intro.
It's deliberate now, though. Okay,
It's deliberate.
Right? All right, good.
I am Fleric.
This is Jake.
This is Ryan.
And this is Mac.
And this
Yes.
is the Haru 2025 preview episode. We are recording this on Sunday the 2nd, so we are one full week out prior to the basho. But you know what? I feel like that doesn't matter as much anymore because the health of the top rikishi in the division isn't going to be, hopefully, something we need to worry about.
Yeah.
Like at the last minute, every single tournament. So I'm not anticipating there being some big shocking news that Hoshoryu pulls out one day prior to the tournament. Feels pretty locked in that he's going to be there.
I think it'll be strange to have the Yokozuna likely be the top pick in our draft for once.
Yeah.
Which hasn't happened in a long time. Oh, man.
I'm okay with that, though. It's like, it's been a while. I'm ready for the Yokozuna to be the top pick this
You're
time.
okay with the new Yokozuna that is going to be hopefully reliable and younger and healthier?
Sweet mother of God, I hope so.
Hot take, man. Hot take.
All Hoshoryu has to do is compete in and finish 4 consecutive bashos, and that'll be the longest streak any one Yokozuna has put together, at least in the past 7.5 years that we've been covering sumo.
Oh, my God.
That's all he's got to do.
Wow.
Should
That's
we
all he's
maybe
gotta
like
do.
finish introducing the podcast before we get too deep into that? though?
Okay, all right.
Yes.
All right.
Before we start talking sumo, let's talk about us. Let's talk about our Patreon. So
Favorite thing for us to do.
yes.
Yes.
So we have a Patreon. You can sign up at 3 different levels. We have the $1 friend of the show level. You get a compliment upon sign up. We've got a couple of compliments we're going to be handing out here in just a couple of minutes. And you get access to the Grand Sumo Breakdown Discord channel. We have a $2 card collector level. Get everything in the $1 tier. Plus, you have the ability to receive a free trading card whenever we open up a new box. And hey, we not only opened up 1 box, we opened up 2 boxes for the 2025 Series 1 sets that came out in January. So those cards, if you are in the $2 or $3 tier level, will be made available later this week prior to the Haru Basho. So those will be coming out.
You guys organize that through Patreon directly, right? That's where the messages go out for people to
Yes,
dig them.
that will all be on the patron website. And then we have a $3 BFF of the show level. That gets you everything in the $2 level. Plus, you also sent us an extra $1 because you like us. That's basically all that is.
We used to have it be like we were blood bound to answer a question that you asked, but like we kind of just do that.
We'll just answer anybody's question. Yeah.
There's no good topic that comes up in the Discord where we're like, yeah, but you're not a $3, so we're not going to talk about that good question.
So every $1 that is sent to us goes back into improving the quality of the show and giving back to the fans, like these new headphones that Jake and I are sporting. And we also, we give out a free T-shirt every basho. We give out those trading cards for the $2 and $3 level. So it all goes back into the show or back to the fans. Everybody that is able to sign up, it's highly appreciated. We're thankful for everybody's support, and we're even thankful for your support if you're not able to financially support us. Just listen.
But less so.
Yeah, but less so.
No. We appreciate you on equal terms. Nobody.
This is a transactional interaction here. You know,
Everybody is an official fan for this unofficial sumo podcast. We are not associated with Grand Sumo. We are not associated with the JSA or the YDC, except for YDC West, which is also unofficial.
Unofficial.
I think they're the ones who are not associated with us.
How dare you undo my sumo intro to this podcast?
I'm taking my power back one episode at a time.
I'm angry.
Let's
You gotta
introduce
earn that.
our new patrons for this basho.
Well, I have to say, guys, Crash Bandicoot has got nothing on Justin Van Coot. Their adventures should be made into a best-selling video game. I know I would play it.
Absolutely.
Also, coming up after this, we'll debut this, but GSB is starting a new segment where we review sumo vocabulary on our way to quote-unquote earning a black belt. Very, very cool thing, segment that I'm excited for. However, our new
very
patron,
cool thing,
Florian,
says man who introduced
came up with
the topic
segment.
and came up with the segment. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. But, however, for our new patron, Florian Kaufold, that is going to be very boring because Florian is such a sumo genius that this segment will be entirely irrelevant to them.
Oh.
As it will be me, I'm sure.
Yeah, different reasons, though.
Different reason, Ryan.
And to all of our continuing patrons, but especially for one, in the world where we live in, where we're constantly disappointed by prices, gas, eggs, beef, fruit, airfare, non-domestic steel, highly relevant to me in particular in my job. It is good to know that there is one price that is always right. Ian Price. Thank you for never letting us down.
Oh.
I did my best not to look ahead because as soon as you started that, I just felt like my spidey sense of a tortured pun coming.
Yeah.
Like just wretched work. I love it.
Quick aside. Shout out to one of our comments on YouTube to the gentleman to whomever got that autographed Shishi card. Bravo. Well done.
Pretty sure I told them don't give any information out because Mac will be coming for them.
Mac will show up at your house.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to breeze through the amateur sumo update because the headline is the headline. Nationals, March 29th, Austin, Texas. Go to ussumo.org if you want more information on that. We'd love to have you as a competitor or as a spectator, whatever you want. Just get into amateur sumo because it's freaking awesome. It will be streaming on Dark Circle Sumo professionally because this year we got the budget to actually hire this out. I won't be running this nationals from a suitcase this year.
That's great.
It'll be great. Yeah, it's awesome. But yeah, after that, 2 weeks after that, on April 12th is Rain City Open up in Seattle. 2 weeks after that is Roller Town down in Dallas. They've already confirmed that Gagamaru's coming, and they're working on other stuff for that as well. Yeah, Gagamaru coming out to Dallas for the third year in a row. And then end of May, we have the Sakura Cup in Nashville. So lots of stuff coming up. I have been plugging Sumo 411, but actually now just go to ussumo.org. We got the right people in the leadership now that is like fully up to date.
Outstanding.
The website is managed by adults now. It's great. All right. And the segment that we teased earlier, GSB is going to work to earn a black belt. So I'm going to give you some vocab words right now. If you know these words, great. If they're ones that are on the tip of your tongue, if you think you know what they are all about, keep pondering on them, and then we'll touch base again later. So don't say anything about these if you know them right now or not. But here are the 5 words that we're going to start our what do you call it? Our journey towards earning a black belt.
And how are we earning a black belt, Jake? Explain.
Somebody put their hand up and it moved.
Yeah, I know. I see
around.
that. Who did that?
Wasn't me.
I put my hand up like this and Zoom thinks I raised my hand. Yep, it switched me back.
It's fantastic.
Oh, that's stupid. Okay. So
No, it's funny.
our 5 vocab words. We're going to start with Chugoshi, Shiko, Koshiwari, Shinkyaku, and Suriashi. We'll check back in on those later in this episode. But on our quest to a black belt, we're starting with the orange belt. And this is, throughout this basho, we'll have a handful of different vocab words that we're going to throw at you that we'll talk about on each episode. But we're going to do roughly 5 or so vocab words per episode as we go forward during the bashos. What's up, Flair?
This would be really good for me because I need to get an orange belt. So
Yes, you do.
I'll be sure to be taking some notes. This would be good.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so once again, Chugoshi, Shiko, Koshiwari, Shinkyaku, and Suriashi are our 5 vocab words for today. Now we can move on to cover what happened in the last basho. We have a quick recap from our correspondent, B.
Be here with your 2 Hatsu handle review. All right, so hear me out. This tournament made it seem to me like the JSA hired Vince Russo to book this thing, and then right before the end of the tournament, they fired him. Because listen to this tournament and then tell me this wasn't Russo booking, okay? Okay, so come on in, bro. First up, Teruno Fuji. Gonna swerve everybody, bro. Have him say he's ready to go, get butts and seats, boom. Drops out and retires, bro. All right, Kotozakura won last time. Great. This tournament, big swerve, can't stop losing. No energy, bro. Have him flail through his matches, gives up a bunch of times, jobbing mad heat, bro. We'll get to the other guy later. So, who's the it guys this tournament? Number 1, Kim Bozan. No reason, bro. Just have him win a bunch. Second, Chiyoshima. The Henka guy everybody hates. Mad heat, bro. 2 foreigners just beating everybody. Mad heat. Couple other things. Big Sunday, Nishiki Fuji blades. Gets some color, loses. Churanoumi just slaps the piss out of some guy at one point, and then he loses. And the little guy. Everybody loves the little guy. Get him fighting for the Kachikoshi. Marks are involved. Buy him merch. Then he loses. Okay. Now all that's left is Hoshoryu. Last hope for a Yokozuna next tournament. Have him come close, but just not close enough. And then right at the end, bro, wait for it. Mad heat, wait for it. He loses. And then they rip the book out of his hands and scramble to make a 3-way playoff storyline to make Hoshoryu look as strong as possible to save the whole thing. And that's where we are now. We have ourselves a new Yokozuna. I'm hopeful, if somewhat apprehensive. It's clear they're not going to book him to be like some face of the company Cena Yokozuna like Teruno Fuji or Hakuho, but not everybody needs to be. We need some Haruma Fujis and Musashi Maros as much as we need unbeatable champs, storyline-wise, and I'm excited for what might happen. But it's the JSA, so who knows. Anyway, how about a toast to our new Yokozuna Hoshoryu? Let me get that. Oh, come on. Where'd my sake bottle go? That's fine. Never mind. I'll see you guys for Haru.
Don't let Tomokaze get that sake bottle. Don't let him get it. So yeah, it sounds like B has finally spent the $1 stipend that we give him per basho. He's been saving it up over the past few years. Finally bought himself a microphone. Also, B, we're going to need you to send any transactions that you do through us. Let us approve those before you go ahead and make those company purchases. So we will be reducing your stipend by half for the next year.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah.
It's sumo. You got to reduce the salary so people know what's so they know what's up.
Exactly. Let's talk about sumo.
All right, let's do it.
Sounds like an interesting thing we could do at this time. We have the debut of the 74th Yokozuna Hoshoryu to look forward to in just 1 week's time. He had a press conference recently after the Bansuke was released. Obviously, big Bansuke for Hoshoryu the first time he will show up as a Yokozuna. And he told the press people that were there that he is determined to become the 3rd consecutive Yokozuna to win the Yusho in his Yokozuna debut. Of course, Kisei no Sato won the Yusho in his Yokozuna debut, as did Teruno Fuji. Hoshoryu said, "This is the first tournament as a Yokozuna. I want to think of it as a learning experience and feel the pressure of being a Yokozuna with my own body." That body, however, might not be at 100%.
Oh, no.
So it begins.
We just covered this.
There's a little question on the health of his elbow. He apparently injured it on the final day in one of those final 3 matches that he had. He did show up to practice on March 1st while wearing a support on his right elbow. So he said, "It hurt a little, but it's no problem. As a result, I was able to grab the championship." He had canceled a planned training at the Sadogatake stable the prior day due to pain from loose cartilage, but he did show up the following day. He does say he is guaranteeing that he's not going to let this stop him. He says, "No matter what happens, I won't take a break. Even if I lose, I won't take a break. I'll do it until the end." I think that's more in reference if he starts piling up losses, he's not going to pull out of the tournament and say, oh, no, my toe is hurt. He's going to stick in it to the very end, as long as it's not like super bad health related things.
I'm not gonna lie, that phrase "loose cartilage" snuck up on me. I did not appreciate that.
No.
Didn't like it.
I don't think Hoshoryu does either. But
I
according
bet
to
he
him,
doesn't.
not a problem. Not a problem. Don't worry about it.
Cartilage
He's
is
not worried
supposed
about
to-
it.
Don't worry about it. It's
Why are you
fine.
worried about it, Jake? It's not a problem.
What's the opposite? That it's supposed to be? Is cartilage tight?
Tight.
It's
Yeah.
supposed to be
Nice
tight.
cartilage.
Yes, nice tight cartilage on that elbow. Let's all hope for some tight cartilage on our new Yokozuna.
And then other training reports that we've gotten from him, other than skipping on the 28th, he's resumed training as normal. He was training prior to his stable shipping out to Osaka, where this tournament will be held. And on the 26th, when they all arrive there, he resumed his training. He's been fighting 15-20 matches a day with convincing results so far just within his stable. I don't believe he's gone out for any Daigeko or anybody's come in to train with him at this point. So, Fleric, what are your expectations for Hoshoryu in his first basho as Yokozuna? He's coming off of his two best performances probably in his career. 13-2 Jun Yusho in Kyushu and a 12-3 Yusho just last basho, promoting him up to Yokozuna. But he's also got all the ceremonies and parades and interviews and responsibilities, not only of being a Yusho winner, but of being a brand new Yokozuna, the sole Yokozuna. If any event needs a Yokozuna, he's the guy. There's nobody else to share that duty with. So what are your expectations for Hoshoryu coming into his first basho as Yokozuna?
Now I need to learn how to book a Yokozuna for my birthday party. Because, he's the only guy, so if I book it, he's gonna
gotta
come.
go.
He's gotta
He has
go.
to.
Hey, kids,
It's
it's
the rules.
Hoshoryu, the Yokozuna.
Yeah, birthdays, bachelorettes, bar mitzvahs,
Bar mitzvahs.
How is he gonna
Versus-
do? I don't know. I guess with this loose cartilage though. I don't know what's gonna-
He's got a week to tighten it up. He's got a
Got a
full week
week
to
to tighten
tighten
up?
that
That's
right
not
up.
how that
Okay.
works.
He's gonna go into his shop and just kind of someone wrench it into place. He'll be fine.
Yeah, is it something like is there like a fastener? Is it like a bolt that needs twisting, or is it like one of those things where you like put a hairdryer on it back and forth until it kind of shrinks a little?
Not quite.
Wrap it with saran wrap.
To make everybody feel better about this. Loose cartilage refers to fragments of cartilage that have become detached from the smooth surface of a joint.
Got
These
it.
fragments can float freely within the joint space, causing pain, discomfort, and limited mobility. Now we all feel better about the loose cartilage, I'm sure.
I have had loose cartilage removed from my knee. It sucks.
And then
Loose as
it's
in-
tight now, right?
Oh, it's tight now.
Now it's tight.
Loose as in like on the loose, not loose as in like saggy.
Yeah, no, as in was sheared off my knee.
Oh, gross.
Yeah, not fun. Anyway, back to sumo.
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Oh yeah, I was answering a question, wasn't I?
Yeah, I
Yes.
think so, sorry.
You were waffling on what you think Hoshoryu is going to look like.
Oh yeah, that's a very good question. Honestly, I have very high expectations for the guy. He did very, very well. Granted, like he had a lot of birthday parties they had to attend, and maybe like a shrine entrance ceremony, and he had to learn a new dance as well. Like,
Oh god.
Toho Yuri.
That's true. He did.
I'm being very reverent to all these like all these ceremony things, but I'm loving it.
It adds up.
Yeah, it does add up. But he said he's driven. Like he said like he wants to be like the first Yokozuna who can win. Oh, not the first, but one of the Yokozuna that win his like Yusho after being promoted. And the one thing I was convinced in these last two bashos is like his mental game is really strong. And as long as like he seems like his body's there, and I'm convinced that despite all the distractions, I think his mental game is probably gonna carry him to do probably pretty well. At least a double-digit win is what my expectations for the guy.
Yeah, looking it up, it looks like if Hoshoryu were to take the Yusho, he would be the 11th Yokozuna to take the Yusho in their debut performance as a Yokozuna. Like we said, the last two, Teru no Fuji, Kisei no Sato took it. Before that, it was Takanohana was the last one prior to that to do it.
So it is
Takanohana.
uncommon. It just happened to be the last two have done it.
About 1 out of every 7 Yokozuna pulls it off.
Jeez.
All right, Mac, Jake, do your expectations for Hoshoryu differ any from Fleric? I think he's thinking should be in Yusho race and definitely double-digit wins for Hoshoryu. Any reason for you guys to think any different for our new Yokozuna?
I think the part of what makes this tough is that Onosato and Kotozakura are like, I don't know, in a vacuum, I'd say they're all pretty close together. Because like they've been close together for at least a few bashos here, where like they're all like a clear cut above everybody else, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So
They're
it's
the last 3 Yusho winners.
Yeah. So it's hard to, and yeah, I'm not going to like completely waffle out of making a prediction or anything, but I'm just saying the reason that it's a hard prediction to make is like it's all psychological now. Like the only difference between Hoshoryu 2 months ago and Hoshoryu now is psychological. He's got this burden or blessing, depending on your perspective of this higher rank. Is that going to put pressure on him such that it's more difficult? Or is that going to give him the confidence he needs to unleash his next level, you know? And I'm excited to see. I lean more towards the side of now he has the responsibility and the accolades, and we kind of view him as a tough, intense competitor, and having that ranking, I think that might help him in being a little bit more, unleashed, you know, letting himself go, just blasting through people. I would love to see that. The counter argument that now he's achieved it, now he's not chasing it, you know, that could be a loss in psychological edge, but I would lean the other way a little bit. Very excited to see, because this first basho with the new rank will be very telling. Matt,
So
what do you think?
I was going to say, so what is your overall decision there? Because you really didn't make a decision.
Sorry, I'm leaning towards it being a good thing. So yes,
Okay.
I agree with Fleric. I think he'll be in Yusho contention. I'm not positive how much I would put him ahead of those other 2 guys I mentioned, but I would put him ahead of those other 2 guys.
Okay. And see, I would agree with that, because I think he definitely is ahead. And I think now that he has the rank, he's attained that level of, now I have to maintain this rank. I've achieved it. You can't take it away from me. So now I have to prove that I belong here. So I think that in and of itself is going to propel him forward. That minimum standard that he has to adhere to is going to make him perform every single time. Now, he gets injured, of course, he can go out. But I don't see that happening with Hoshoryu, loose cartilage aside. I think he's got this, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen with Kotozakura and Onosato. I am really excited for this tournament.
Yeah. There are some guys out there where like catching the dog that catches the car, you know, now what does he do with it? But like, I think Hoshoryu will be chasing his uncle. I think that's his next step. You know,
absolutely agree.
Yeah. Flair, what you got?
It'll be interesting. I'm glad you mentioned the whole Onosato and Kotozakura, because I think Kotozakura definitely had an off tournament last time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not exactly sure what was going on, but I'm sure he's going to be ready to bring it this next time. And so
Agreed.
That's why I kind of put down the double-digit thing of where I think he's going to be in contention the whole time. But I do kind of agree it's going to be. I still think it's going to be like a competition, and it's going to be who's better on the couple days when they match up on who actually takes the entire thing.
Totally.
It will be Abi on day one. The Yokozuna typically faces Komusubi West on day one. So that is a tricky matchup on day one. And we know Hoshoryu doesn't have the best track record on day one. He's gotten better the past couple of tournaments. He's gotten better, but that is a tricky one for Hoshoryu on day one against Abi. We'll see what kind of Abi shows up this basho, but hopefully he can knock that one out, and then he can just kind of steamroll through the rest of the Joy, because I'm not seeing a ton of super scary names in the Joy this time around. The scariest one is probably Wakataka Kage, who just kind of really had a meh to middling tournament last time around. So we'll see if Wakataka Kage is back on his game, but Hoshoryu could have a route to a very good first week, because, like I said, not a whole lot of killers up in the Joy this basho.
What are your thoughts on Wakamoto Haru?
He can be on and off, but typically when he's getting those like 10, 11 wins, I feel like he's stacking them up against guys that are like ranked below him and not really knocking off Kotozakura, Onosato, Hoshoryu all within one basho. So not super afraid of Wakamoto Haru. He has been pretty like every other basho. Actually, no, he's been like every 2 basho.
Yeah,
because he was winning record, losing record, winning record, losing record. So obviously GSP math says he's going to have a losing record this basho.
That's GSP math. Hey, real quick, I wanted to do an update on those opponents that you mentioned. Abi, let's see, Hoshoryu versus Abi. Hoshoryu has the edge 11-6. However, Abi has won the last 2 of them. Wakamoto Haru is not a challenge. They are 14-3 in favor of Hoshoryu.
Oof.
Yeah. However, Wakataka Kage, 5-8 in favor of Wakataka Kage.
Oh, wow.
Who has won the last 2. I'm sorry, Hoshoryu has won the last 2.
Okay.
Hoshoryu has won the last 2, but overall 5-8 in favor of Wakataka Kage. So
It's
yeah,
pretty
that one,
close.
I agree with your pick of that being kind of a spicy one.
Yeah.
It's I'm gonna slightly disagree with you that there's not anyone too scary like it's in the Joy. Besides, I think the Ozeki and the Yokozuna is kind of what you were kind of saying, right, Ryan?
I mean like the top Maegashira ranks.
Oh, and that. Kind of
Yeah. Obviously Onosato, Kotozakura, Kirishima.
You're talking about like his first week matchups, which are going to be those Maegashira
Okay.
Komosubis.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because technically all those guys in Sanyaku are also in the Joy, but yeah, I was referring to the top ranked Maegashira.
Yeah, I was gonna say sleeping on Daisha and Kirishima might be a little bit rough, and Oho as well. But I rest my case then.
Yeah.
I will not. You can continue to have that opinion. I will allow it.
I think
Daisho, for the
Hoshoryu is
record-
lucky. Yeah, go ahead, Ryan.
4-13 against Hoshoryu is Daisho.
Oh.
Now, one matchup that he's running scared from, and he might luck out down there at Maegashira 4. Hoshoryu is 1-8 against Takayasu.
Takayasu's got to make it that far into the basho.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
true.
Yep.
I feel like Takayasu's finished 2 in a row.
That's
see.
not important.
No,
That's not
Takayasu's
important.
don't
finished
worry about
3
that.
in a row. There's no way he's making it this far. When's the last time Takayasu finished 4 in a row? You talk, I'll find it. Never mind, I found it.
It's a while.
2021.
2021. Yep.
Wow. That's bad.
Regardless, Hoshoryu is looking to have a good first week.
But also, we do know when Hoshoryu's dropping matches, it's in the first week to the people he should be beating, and then he absolutely locks it in and is a killer in week 2, especially if he's in Yusho contention.
Yeah.
That's why I don't worry about the mental of Hoshoryu at all. He's like the anti-Shodai, where we're constantly thinking, like, where is this guy's head at when he made it up to Ozeki? Hoshoryu does not have that problem at all. He's going to completely lock in week 2. Week 1, we'll see. Maybe now that he's got that Yokozuna pressure, maybe everything is just like he's got that pressure on him all the time to perform, and it does step his game up that much more. But like I said, we have yet to see, and he does have. This is the first basho, so we'll see how he reacts to all of that. But yeah, I think generally, yeah, I'm hoping for like 11 wins for Hoshoryu, but I'm not necessarily sure that he'd probably be the favorite to take the Yusho, but not by a whole lot.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
Okay.
He's definitely not Terano Fuji at all, where it's like, oh,
No.
the Yokozuna's in. As long as he finishes it, he's gonna win. We're very far from that point for Hoshoryu.
Agreed. Let's
Move on and talk about Kotozakura, who is Kadoban for the first time in his Ozeki career. He has finished up his first full year as an Ozeki, which was a very, very good first year as an Ozeki. He'd had an 8-7, but he had 4 out of the first 5 appearances were double-digit wins, including that 14-1 Yusho he had back in November. But then obviously something very wrong with Kotozakura in January, coming out with a 5-10 record. Looked like as soon as he was going backward, he couldn't do anything moving forward. Looked like he was barely attacking anybody in the dojo. So definitely some sort of injury, probably a knee injury for Kotozakura that was hampering
Always
him
a safe
at
guess.
basho.
Yeah.
I think he has his knee wrapped up too. So
Yeah, it
But-
reminded me a little bit of I don't know. I think it was Takayasu, but like somebody like after the basho, it came out that they were struggling with their back all basho long, and I remember that news coming on the heels of them just looking normal but like weaker, and that's kind of how I felt for Kotozakura this time around. Like he was there, he was doing Kotozakura style sumo, just not very well.
yeah,
So yeah, I don't know. Maybe back, knee, something that's not incredibly visible, but is still just enough to take away his edge.
yeah. Kotozakura for training, he has been going hard at the training. He started his training back on like 12th, 13th, 14th, around that time frame a couple weeks ago before they headed out for Osaka, which some people had noted that's pretty odd for Kotozakura. Typically, he starts his like main training routine, fighting against the Rikishi in his stable, going out for Daigeko after the Bansuke is released, which is 1 week ago at this point. But he started that a lot earlier this tournament and going out and facing guys like Daisho, Oho, before they even traveled out to Osaka. And I have to say, wiping the floor with most of his competition, it seemed like. After they've come to Osaka on the 28th, he fought against 6 different current and former Sanyaku Rikishi, going 16-5. He had said, my opponents came at full strength. Winning and losing is important, but I think I was able to have more substantial training session than that. So obviously he's working on certain things, and he saw the improvements in the things that he was looking for in that training session. And then just a day later on the 1st, he had 15-match session with Onosato, where he ended up going 6-9 against his fellow Ozeki. And here Kotozakura said, it's not about winning or losing. I was able to fight while attacking. I'll just keep doing my best to be able to respond to anything. I'll keep doing it while feeling it firmly in my body. So it feels like his comments are saying, like at this point, he was saying, I was able to like fight while attacking. Like he wasn't attacking in the last basho.
Right.
He was constantly on the defensive. And so he's able to do that attacking. He went 6-9 with Onosato. So I'm feeling good based on the comments of Kotozakura, based on how much he's been training, like 20 plus sessions a day, and he's been doing it for longer than his typical training sessions are. He has stopped relying on mostly fighting within his own stable, because the power of his stable honestly has kind of gone down and diminished from what it was in recent years. Like the best Sekitori in his stable right now is Koto Shoho. Not the greatest for getting yourself in shape against people like Oho or Daisho. So I'm glad that he's been going out doing those things.
Yeah, there's a lot fewer Kotos in the top division than there used to be. There was like 5 at one point a few years ago, I remember.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jake, what are your thoughts hearing all of this about Kotozakura? Do you feel comfortable that he will get the 8 wins that he needs in March?
I wouldn't say comfortable. There's definitely some apprehension. I'm not particularly worried though. There's like a little bit of apprehension, but I would confidently put my money that he is going to get those 8, because we haven't heard news of like, I was kind of expecting after the basho for him to be like, oh yeah, I was missing a foot, or something, some horrible thing like, but no, the fact that there wasn't really any major reports on any major injury, and the fact that training is going okay, taking 6 wins off of Onosato just proves that Onosato is doing a little bit better than him in training that day, and that's still roughly on the same level as each other. And that makes me confident that he's doing okay.
And on the Onosato thing, like it sounded like he was working on one thing specific, like his attacking sumo. So like,
could be.
It's also like maybe he didn't care about results. It's like, I'm just gonna work on my attacking sumo, and he got to work like 6 times. That's probably what he was looking for. And also, it doesn't really say who won the first couple, because what was it, like the basho is like 1 match a day. It's the first match that matters. So you can like win the first 2 and then lose the next like 13. What I'm getting at is the training numbers are, you have to kind of take that with like a grain of salt.
Yes, for sure. But like
True.
at the same time, neither of those two wiped the floor with each other, and he did very well against the other guys in that other batch of matches. So like, I don't see anything to worry about there. That's kind of like if somebody said, how do you think Kotozakura did in practice this time if he is healthy? And I'd say, okay, well, he'd probably take a lot more wins than losses against everybody. But if he faces Hoshoryu and Onosato, I could see it being 50-50 or slightly below. If that was what I just pulled out as a guess, that makes me feel good. But yeah, there's always a little bit of nervousness when somebody's Kadoban, and maybe there's a deeper issue that we don't know about that could rob us of the longest, or I guess, yeah, at this point, he is the longest reigning Ozeki. Because Hoshoryu's not there anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I want him to stay Ozeki. I still think that he's a very good potential Yokozuna candidate.
Absolutely. He just went 14-1 2 basho ago.
Yeah,
Right.
Exactly.
But then again, we could have said the same thing about Kirishima. It's like he just went 13-2 2 basho ago. Of course he's going to come back and get his 8 wins.
Damn it.
And then after that, of course he'll get his 10 wins to make it back up to
those.
Ozeki.
Yeah. He only needs 10. Psh, this guy was on the doorstep of getting a rope. He's fine. Yeah. No, I don't know.
Come back to us, Kiri.
I don't like the word confident. I don't like the word confident, but I'd say, or comfortable, I think was the word that you used.
Comfortable.
But like,
you did comfortable.
So I'd say I'm yes, optimistic, but a little bit apprehensive.
Yeah, go ahead, Flick.
I will say it sounds like he's taking the Kadoban seriously. I think he kind of saw the Kirishima thing happen. It's like, it's very easy to get 2 bad tournaments in a row, and then you have to get the 10. You got to get the double-digit Kachikoshi, which is a tall order with the how many good people are in the Sangyaku nowadays.
Absolutely.
So it sounded like he's like, I want to not be Kadoban anymore. And like he's taking his training seriously earlier. I think this is famously the time off for a lot of Rikishi because they have like a lot of New Year stuff between Kyushu and Hatsu. Like they have to go pound a shit ton of mochi like everywhere. Yeah. So many birthday parties too for Teru no Fuji. And
obviously.
But I've heard like this is
just showing up to birthday parties like 3 times a day on the weekends.
Just bursting out of the cakes like, hey!
I'm picturing that ribbon cutting scene from Galaxy Quest where like it's the gig that they got to do, so they show up.
And it's not a surprise when they burst out of the cake because you have the sword bearer and the dew sweeper that just come out of nowhere. And
You
stand
know
on
who's
either
in
side of
there.
the
You
cake.
It's also an immense cake.
It's too big.
yeah.
Sorry, Flair, did I steal your joke?
You definitely did, but that's it was the easy picking joke. We all got
it was
there.
The low-hanging fruit.
I'm sorry I blurted it out while you were waiting your turn.
No, but it's like, but this is kind of typically they have like a little bit of a break, I think, and that might have been like the beginning of February. I don't remember the exact details, so it sounds like
right.
it sounds like he's like even kind of cutting into like a little bit of his time off to make sure he's in shape, and that bodes well for me. And I'm very excited because I know for a fact he wanted to be Yokozuna. He was the one who won in Kyushu in the playoff. He was the favorite going into Hatsu, and so he's like, "Dang, I wish that was me." And so I am very excited to see how he comes out into this tournament.
I have high hopes for Kotozakura, but I think that is more as a big Kotozakura fan than like unbiased opinion about how he is. I mean, the last time we saw him, he looked like dog shit. So it's good. And I think like the training reports seemed fine for Kotozakura heading into that. We always have to take these training reports with a grain of salt. So until we really see him do it on the clay, it's going to be tough to say. But as a very biased Kotozakura fan, I feel like I'm feeling double digits this basho. I don't know that I can say that he's gonna have another one of those 14-13 win performances and start knocking on the door of Yokozuna again right away. But I'm thinking 10 wins for Kotozakura here.
Okay.
I'm gonna manifest that.
Yep, I was about to ask, like, so where do you put the over and under at?
9.5, and I'm taking the over.
All right.
So you say you're a giant Kotozakura fan. Is this like over Hoshoryu now? Like, are you a bigger fan of Kotozakura?
It's really close between those two. It really is. I think. But the thing that was telling was their match on Kyushu, where they fought each other, and the winner was going to take the Yusho.
Yeah.
And I need to remember how I felt when that happened. I need to go back. I know that I was up talking with a couple of our patrons in the Discord because I was up live watching that match. I need to go back and scour that and see what I said on
What
how
did I
I
say?
felt. Like
They're
which
close.
way
They're
I
close,
landed
though.
on that. But yeah, it's very close for me between those two. Those are absolutely my two favorites right now. I gotta like, oh yeah, the top two guys of the division. Those are my favorites. But yeah, I just
Wow,
really
Ryan.
like both.
Creative.
I know. I know.
There we go. Should we,
But
should we
it is
make a bracket?
documented. We've liked Hoshoryu since he showed up.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
We all love him. This is why I was kind of curious why you were suddenly seeing like a huge fan of Kotozakura. I was like, ooh, are you like jumping ships now? Like is Hoshoryu now like
I got 1
baby
foot in
face?
each boat. I've got 1 foot in each canoe, and I'm just kind of trying to find that balance.
I see.
Ryan, that doesn't work.
Historically, one of the least stable types of boat.
Exactly.
All right. Anybody else have any thoughts? Anybody think Kotozakura is not going to do it, or are we all like, that was a blip? He's got to come back and do this.
Yeah, it had to be a blip. I mean, that's the only explanation I could see. It has to be a blip.
Unless it's a lingering knee injury.
Don't
Maybe
stop.
He,
No,
maybe
stop.
he has
Shut
loose
up.
cartilage. Maybe he has loose cartilage.
Stop it, Ryan. Stop.
Maybe his cartilage is on the move.
Yeah.
Roaming around. All right, what's next?
Onosato is next. He's been obviously training quite a bit. He's been working with an iPad in practice. They've been filming
what?
his matches in an attempt to improve his footwork to the point where Nishonoseki Oyakata will call timeouts during his practice bouts to go over like his bad footwork. And Onosato has been like quoted as saying like, I didn't realize like how bad it is sometimes. So obviously it is something they have identified. I mean, Onosato's been doing fine since he's been Ozeki, 9-6, 10-5. Obviously not a whole lot to complain about for him, but it's something they've obviously identified. And I think a lot of fans have identified, like, doesn't have the greatest of footwork. And if he can clean that up with how good he already is, very scary.
Could you imagine if there was some Dance Dance Revolution available for sumo wrestlers? Like they put their foot here, hold it there, they put it to some music, dun, 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 like just pushing forward, making sure there's some Suriashi. And there's like that would be kind of cool. I could see that with an iPad, just recording it.
Sounds like
no
a project
arcade
for you
is-
to work on, Mac.
I was gonna say, Ryan, you should get in the mix here too, because like we have to like structurally design a DDR stand that could withstand that. And I'm
I'm
sure
sure steel joists are the best option.
The
for
I
that.
think steel
Impact.
joists are exactly what we need. You design stuff that can hold the load of like Midwestern snow on a roof. I think you might be exactly who we need for this machine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I will gladly take that assignment on. Just book it in my work calendar. I'll take a look at it.
I'm not going to do that. The joke's
All right.
already run its course.
Nope.
As far as his other training, when they're not videotaping his bad footwork, on the 28th, he fought 21 times against Hirado Umi, going 17-4. Onosato said, I was able to compete in 20 matches without getting tired, and I had a good training session. So after not being in Yusho contention for the last two basho, Onosato has been consciously increasing the amount of training that he does. He says, I've been able to compete well in the number of matches and my body is moving well. I want to keep working hard for another week. So yeah, in past training reports, like Onosato's numbers had always been like, oh yeah, he fought like 14, 15 matches. And then you'd see Hoshoryu's like fought 25 matches and Kirishima's fought like 25 to 30 matches. And Onosato's just been like in that, like 12 to 15 kind of range. And so it sounds like he has consciously decided need to up the number of practice bouts in order to kind of bring himself to that next level.
I am not sure how I want to take in this new information that Onosato is a absolute liar. Because you don't get 20 matches and not get tired. Don't BS me. I've tried sumo. I can almost do one match without getting tired.
Yes, but he's not 30 years old, Jake.
I know what he means, but it's still a lie.
He is 24 years old in the prime of his life. He's been training exclusively this for like a decade, whereas you
And
are
he's
a
a lying liar who
35-year-old
lies.
man with a child. You do this as a hobby like once every other week.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that, I need to be able to do 20 matches without getting tired in order to believe him. I'm just saying, like, that's not how that works. Maybe he can do a couple short ones without getting tired, but like, that's just how it works.
Maybe
It's 20 matches
Hiradoumi
will make you
really
tired.
sucks.
What's that?
Maybe Hiradoumi really sucks.
Oh, that's a lie. That would be the lie.
Oh, man.
And as we mentioned before, Onosato, he's the other side of that coin, where they fought against Kotozakura. Kotozakura went 6-9. Obviously, Onosato went 9-6. He commented after that saying, "It was a good practice. I was able to be patient, concentrate well, do what I needed to do." Saying nothing there. But also,
Real
when
slow.
when asked about being a candidate for the next Yokozuna, he said, "I don't want to think too much about it. I just want to go at my own pace." Obviously, it's on his mind.
Yeah, duh.
Because everybody at least is putting it there. And I had read another article where he'd said like he had put like a strange amount of pressure on himself to win the Hatsu Basho, and that kind of ruined his start to the tournament because he started 2-3. He was able to recover, go 8-2 from that point. So I think he's trying to back off the pressure that he was putting on himself after he rose to Ozeki as quickly as he had, and just kind of let the tournament come to him this time. So Mac, we just talked about it. Onosato has not been in Yusho contention really at all the past two tournaments. The first week performances have taken him out of that conversation immediately. Will Onosato be in the Yusho race this basho?
I think he's going to put it together this time. Now, whether or not he's going to actually take the Yusho, he's going to be a challenge for the Yusho. So he went 10-5 in the last tournament. Now, again, that was with a weak Kotozakura. So I have hope for this one because he's consistent. He's got the youth. He's 9-6. He's got excellent records going up into this point. I think he's really going to be one to watch. Now, I still think Hoshoryu has the edge, but Onosato definitely going to be one to watch this tournament. And as I said earlier, and as we were talking about, Kotozakura, Hoshoryu, Onosato, it's got to be one of these three. If it's not one of these three, then I have no freaking clue.
Yeah. No, that sounds about right. It would be probably...
No, no, you do not do that again.
I don't even know who Jake said there.
Oh, I said
Kinbozan.
Oh. Whispered it seductively.
Yeah, I
That
think
was seductive.
I'm not very good at seductive. I don't know if you know this about me.
You got to work on that, man.
It is
Jake had to
not
be
one of my
funny guy
strengths.
because he could never be romantic guy.
Yeah, if they don't find you
coming as
handsome,
another funny guy, like, I get it. I see it. Game recognized game.
oh yeah, no. If a stranger sees you or me standing next to our wives, they must go, "Huh? I bet he's funny."
Yeah.
Speaking of, I got to take a second to go say goodnight to the toddler. I'll be back in 2 seconds.
Sounds good. As for me, my thoughts on Onosato, like, yeah, I feel like the Ozeki pressure kind of got to him a little bit those first two bashos that he was up there. He said so himself. I'm really liking his comments that he's had this time. I like that they're really focusing in and honing in on that footwork for him. So I don't quite know if he's going to be taking the Yusho this time, but I'm looking forward to like another incremental step forward, kind of getting that Onosato, that freaking 1-2 Yusho last year. So I'm thinking, because like his second Yusho that he got, like he was damn near a 14-1 record that time. Like he looked so damn unbeatable that tournament. He had it wrapped up after day 14. Like day 15 didn't matter, and that's when he picked up his second loss. So we know Onosato can be an absolute machine and dominate. It's just a matter of if he can get those few little things cleaned up. looks like they're working on the endurance. He's talking about the mental game, just not putting that much pressure on himself, not thinking about Yokozuna at this time. They're working on the stuff in the dojo, on the footwork. So I think we see another step forward for Onosato. So I look for him to have more wins this basho than his previous 2 Ozeki basho. So I'm thinking 11 wins or more for Onosato this basho.
Sounds about right.
I dig it.
Yeah.
So that
sounds like pretty good. I agree.
that brings us to, this is a good place to put this, a crazy story from his Heya, the Nishonoseki Beya. So this is a story from November of 2022. This is before Onosato had joined Grand Sumo, before he had even selected which stable he was going to join. So the story in no way affects or reflects Onosato at all, but there was an incident that occurred at the Nishonoseki stable that some recently released photographic and video evidence has been provided by a tabloid in Japan. So there were about 10
This is a little messed up if you want to skip ahead.
What?
This is some hard
I'm
party.
reading it now. Oh my
Yes.
God.
Yeah, go ahead, Ryan. But just want to give a heads up. If you don't want to hear about like guys in their 20s drinking way too much and getting too wild, maybe skip a minute or two.
Yeah. So there were about 10 rikishi that were drunk off their ass in the Nishonoseki Beya in November of 2022. And one of them, Takasato, was naked. He was 20 years old at the time. What's the legal drinking age in Japan?
18.
18. Okay. So Takasato, naked, sitting on the floor and spread his legs. Then Kirinyu held his legs down, and Tomokaze shoved a bottle of sake into his anus. Flarek, you had your hand raised.
Did you have a comment on this?
No. The drinking age in Japan I thought was 20, and I quickly looked it up, and it's 20. So
Oh,
It is
my bad.
20? Oh, I thought it was 18.
yeah, 20
I just
is when
remember
they
when we
become
were.
like adults. So.
I gotcha.
Oh.
Yeah, I just remember when we were buying alcohol when we were in Japan, there was just a screen that just says, "Are you of age?" And we would just say yes, and that was the end of the interaction.
That's true.
Back to the story. Takasato, he's got a bottle of sake up his butt. So after pulling the bottle out, Tomokaze then placed the bottle into Takasato's mouth and poured sake down his throat. After which Takasato stood up, had a big smile on his face, and made the OK sign with both hands.
Yes, this is consensual gross stuff. So that's at least one thing that's nice.
As far as what we are being told, everything was consensual between these very drunk stablemates. Not that there isn't a little bit of disturbingness about this, but if it is as it sounds, like all consensual, I mean, it is what it is. It's not great.
It's improper, but like, I mean, it's not
If
like some of these
everybody
other.
said okay, as much as you can when you're drunk. But if everybody involves, I don't know. I don't know. It's
gets different from the other recent scandals where somebody is clearly in a position of power and bullying other people. It's different from that. Still a little gross, still a little messed up, but like, yeah, it's less bad than some of the other recent stuff, I think is safe to say.
Yeah.
So
there might be something where it's like an older person in the dojo in the stable kind of trying to commit these things, so it might not be entirely not a place of power. I just want to put that out there, but it seemed like you say consensual. So
at least more so than some of the other nasty stuff that's happened recently. So
so this incident, like I said, occurred a couple of years ago at this point, and per the JSA, because after this tabloid came out, they were contacting the JSA to get their comment. So the JSA said that after speaking with the people involved, we confirmed that they were all just joking around, and that Takasato himself never thought that he was being bullied. However, even if it was just joking around, it went too far, and we have warned Master Nishonoseki. So kind of like second reprimand that Nishonoseki Oyakata has gotten. If you remember about a year ago, not even a year ago or so, there was a story Onosato had forced a stablemate who was under the age of 20 to drink. And so Onosato and Nishonoseki both got reprimanded at that time as well. Also involved in and this is a tabloid story. Doesn't really seem like it's been picked up by the main press in Japan, probably because it's already an issue that the JSA has taken a look at, addressed, and really nothing too much came out of it. But also in that story, there was somebody else had apparently been forcing, or there was other underage drinking occurring. I don't know about forcing and all that stuff.
It sounds like this stable just parties way too hard.
Yeah, Nishonoseki needs to kind of bring the hammer down a little bit on these guys, or a lot of it.
Or a lot
case
of it.
of Tomokaze, yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's hard to forget that these are just a lot of young kids, like in their 20s and stuff. And yeah, thinking back to some stories I've heard in college and stuff, this is kind of lining up.
Right.
Well, maybe not exactly.
I was about to say,
that,
whoa,
Not the parties we were going to.
Yeah,
but parties that cooler people talked about.
but yeah.
As somebody who never drank in my life, I very much happy with my life decisions.
You're happy with the amount of sake in your butt right now? Being 0?
0 being the optimal number.
The amount of alcohol that has been in my anus having been a constant 0 throughout my entire life is something that brings me joy and comfort in life.
It's a streak you want to keep going. Yeah.
Yeah, I intend to keep that going for a very, very long time.
We're in the like 34-ish year streak here going. It's doing great.
Yeah. It's doing awesome. It's doing fine. No reason to break that streak.
Oh God.
God.
All right, let's move on.
Please.
I'm glad. Yeah, I'm
We'll
glad
let
that
Flair
it's
get the
being
final
dealt
word
with.
on this.
I'm glad that it's being dealt with, but like, as far as sumo scandals go, this one is at least entertaining. Nobody's like quitting sumo so far. Nobody's been like kicked out of sumo so far. Obviously, it's not a good thing, but it's at least like, I don't know. It's kids being kids to some level, too great of a degree, but still, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. These just remember that these are kids. You know, so keep that in mind.
I mean, Tomokaze, he would have been
he's
like late 20s.
Oh yeah,
at this point when he was involved in it, everybody else was. So that I can see some like the power dynamic there, and if like there's a chance Tomokaze is like, hey, you need to lie to the JSA about what happened here. You were totally on board with this, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think the video evidence, I haven't seen it, but what the description of the video evidence was kind of shows that it was kind of fully consensual on all sides. But once again, consent and being drunk, it's a blurry line. It's something to avoid in the future.
We're not the ones to litigate that. We don't know any better than anybody else, but like, yeah, they party too hard. Guys, quit doing that.
Yeah.
Do better and be better at sumo, please.
I'm not upset about what actions were and were not taken about this. I'm not up in arms about it. If everything is as it's been presented to us.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's move on. We have a Rikishi making their top division debut. This is Aonishiki. He is the only Sekitori in the Ajigawa stable. He is 20 years old, out of Ukraine, and he's going to turn 21 on the 23rd of this month. He debuted in Jonokuchi in November of 2023. So
not
he
very
went
long ago.
not very long ago at all. He went 7-0 in Jonokuchi, then 7-0 in Jonidan. He then went 6-1 in his next 4 basho, making it to Juryo in just 1 year of competition. Didn't slow down when he got to Juryo. He went 10-5 in his Juryo debut, and then 12-3 in his follow-up last basho, which was enough to send him up to the top division after just 8 basho in sumo. This ties Jokoryu and Takeru Fuji for the fastest rise to the top division when starting from Jonokuchi. Also, another note with Aonishiki being promoted up to the top division and Shishi back up to the top division alongside him. This is the first time that there's going to be 2 Ukrainians in the top division at the same time.
I like his Keshimawashi. The beautiful sunflowers.
I'm not familiar enough with his Kesho Mawashi game to know that, but I'll take your word for it, and I'll keep an eye out for it when we see the what's that?
Doyo Iri.
Doyo Iri?
Yeah, Dohyo Iri. I don't know why that left my head.
It's a vocab word you're going to have to learn, buddy, if you want to get that black belt.
I love that you called it Kesha Mawashi, Ryan. Keep doing it.
You know what I meant? Kesho Mawashi.
I was going to go and look at his stats to see if I could tell you more about him. Like, we like to look at, the winning techniques for people to like kind of tell you what to expect as a wrestler. He's got the most, well, for one, he has no data, like very little. He's only been doing this. Let's see. He's got 72 total matches. So that is not enough to get a good sample. But yeah, he's mostly 60% of his wins come by meat and potatoes, yorikiri or oshidashi. He's not a guy who's going to be doing trips and throws more than anybody else. But yeah, he is very intense. That's I haven't watched a ton of him yet, but I'm excited to see him. His intensity is pretty notable.
Yeah, he's very much kind of similar to Shishi, gonna just charge forward ahead. He's gonna have his arms out and kind of like looking down at the ground a lot more than like a typical Rikishi would. I don't know if that's a style coming from like amateur sumo or something out of Ukraine, but like I've noticed him and Shishi are just kind of like looking down a lot more, while most other Rikishi are kind of like looking forward and ahead at their opponent. But yeah, and then he's just gonna push you out while you're not able to like knock him down or anything like that.
Not particularly large either.
No,
he's
not
very strong.
And also looks like he's older than all of us combined.
Yeah.
Apparently only 20.
He's going to be one of those guys like Patrick Stewart or somebody who did all of their aging on the front end, and then he's going to look the same for the next 50 years.
Like Maggie Smith.
Yeah, exactly. She looked identical in a Hook as she did in like the end of Harry Potter, like 20 years apart.
All right, let's move on to some quick hits. We'll start with Oho making his Sanyaku debut. He is up at Seki Wake. Jake, what are your expectations for Oho in his Sanyaku debut, coming off of his best basho as a sumo wrestler?
I think there's a chance that it's a fluke, but I don't think it's a big chance. I think that this is him more so turning a corner. He is still he's 25, so he's still got like, quite a while left where he's in his prime. He's kind of out of the boat of being like a young whippersnapper prospect, but he's still he's like on the young edge of like where most guys have their prime. So like he's almost exactly the same age as Hoshoryu, right? Like I know they started at the same time, but
I think Hoshoryu's 26 now.
No, he'll turn 26 in May.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, they're both 25. But like, yeah, obviously Hoshoryu is the comparison that comes up all the time because they started at the same time. But Oho is still a perfectly respectable pace to get this far in his career. He's still got he's still fairly young, even if he's not like the 19, 20, 21-year-old red hot prospect kind of guy.
Kotozakura didn't make Ozeki till he was like 26, 27. So
yeah, I guess that's kind of where I see Oho. I'm hoping that this is a permanent corner turning for him. So yeah, I'm thinking that it is still going to be a step up for him from before. So yeah, I'm in the 8 to 10 wins. Modest Kachikoshi is kind of my expectation for him.
Flarek, that was too positive talk about Oho. Can you be more negative about him and mean it for me?
I actually think I got something for you because for some reason I do feel like he's going to drop down.
All right, hit me with it.
I don't know. It's just I think he has been kind of getting slowly more and more consistent, but I think that was kind of like he had like probably the top of his game that last basho for the most part. So I think he's going to have a little bit of a step. He's going to have like a little rubber band back a little bit. Maybe not. I don't think it's going to be huge. I think but it's just going to be like a Makikoshi, maybe like a 6 and 9 or something like that. 7, 8.
Yeah. For the record, 4 of his last 7 basho have been his highest career rank. So he is like steadily over the last year been just chipping away, getting higher and higher.
Yeah. I will also point out that the last basho is far and away a fluke from what he had been doing. It had been like 7-8, 6-9, 9-6, 9-6, 6-9, and then a 12-3. So would not be shocking at all to see him fall back to like a 3-12 record. In fact, I think that's just what's going to happen.
That's a fall.
Now that I will agree with. I am optimistic, but I also would not be blown away if he just completely turned around.
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit of hope getting in my way.
All right. Good. We got both sides of the conversation. You know, a little bit of positive, but we all felt like Fleric won that argument. So we'll talk about Kirishima here. So Kirishima, last basho, he started off 0-3, but that's because he started off against Hoshoryu, Onosato, and Teruno Fuji.
Oof.
After that, he rattled off 10 consecutive wins. He did lose to Keen Bozan on day 14, which cost him a shot at the Yusho. But Kirishima looked back last basho, which is the second time he's looked back in the past 3 tournaments. Unfortunately had the 6-9 sandwiched in between the 12-3 and the 11-4 that he had. So Mac, is Kirishima totally back, or are we ready to be disappointed again? Okay, let me rephrase that. I am not ready to be disappointed again. But should I start preparing myself?
Should we brace ourselves?
I would say he's totally back. Only because I want to see the crushing fall that happens afterward. But
why?
I'm gonna say,
what did Kirishima do to you? Fuck off! What? Why?
He's got to get back to those heights so that he can properly break your heart.
Heights.
Yeah, the Vikings need that really good season every 10 years so that it hurts more when they lose again.
Exactly.
It's the cycle.
I love how you preface this like, I need to know if I can feel this. Mac, tell me what to do. Mac thought, like, you should definitely believe.
Definitely believe. Definitely believe. And then fall to despair.
Ooh, angry.
2025
I'm
hater
loving this
Mac
a lot.
is really
Yeah.
Behold what Ichi Yamamoto has done.
I was gonna say, extending his reach beyond Ichi Yamamoto.
a substantial reach. Yeah.
But no, I actually think Kirishima is looking good. I like what we saw from him in the last tournament. I don't know if he's totally back, but I'm ready to be a believer. I'm ready to say maybe a 10-5, 9-6. I just want to see consistency out of him.
All right. I hope so. Haku Oho and Takeru Fuji, will they continue their swift rises up the Bansuke? So this is kind of interesting. Both of them are back up to the career high rank that they had reached after their impressive top division debuts, but neither of them actually ever competed at these ranks as they both sat out the next basho due to their injuries. So after Haku Oho had his 11-4 debut basho, he made it up to Maegashira 9, but then he had shoulder surgery and did not compete. Takeru Fuji, Maegashira 17, the 13-2 Yusho. He rose up to Maegashira 6, did not compete due to that injury he received in that basho. So they are finally both going to be competing at their career high ranks that they had previously attained. And neither one of them has ever gotten less than 10 wins in the top division, albeit a 2 basho sample for a Haku Oho and a 3 basho sample for Takeru Fuji. So I'll start with Jake on this one. Do you say 10 plus wins for either of them, neither of them, or both of them?
I believe more so in Takeru Fuji than I do in Haku Oho.
Fair.
I think that it's 10 wins is the exact over-under, I think, for like, is Takeru Fuji the absolute red-hot legend that we thought he was when he started? Or had that injury kind of brought him back to like a mid-Maegashira, where is he going to spend his career here? I have a bit more faith in Takeru Fuji because I think that he has more dominance in his wins. Haku Oho was like, I thought he was kind of just, I don't know, kind of like a old Mitake Yumi, kind of a meat and potatoes, just doing his thing, and he won twice as often as he lost, whereas Takeru Fuji was like trying to murder people. And I do like to see that in somebody that is new, because that intensity is something that is very necessary if you're going to make it at the upper ranks. So yeah, I'd say if I had to pick, I'd say Takeru Fuji succeeds at getting 10, Hakuoho, slightly less optimistic. Maybe he gets like 7 to 9.
All right. Who added Daisho?
I added Daisho. He got 11 and 4 last time from Sekiwake.
Let's talk about him.
It's Daisho.
Hey, I'm not saying it has.
know what's gonna happen. He's gonna go somewhere
There's
between
no
8,
sub bullets
7,
on this one.
There's
6 is a
no
bullet point.
sub bullets here.
This is just the only active Ozeki run. Even if it's part 1 of 3, like nobody, there will not be any more Ozeki next Basho for sure. Daisho's the only one on the entire Bansuke here who's even started. So like, I don't know. Maybe he'll do okay. He probably won't. I'm expecting like 6 to 9 like usual.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I had. That's
What
it.
you got, Flarek?
So you're saying it's technically possible if he gets like a 14-1 or so. That'd be 33 wins in 3 Bashos. There was unsightly 8 and 7, but technically.
So 8 and 7, then 11 and 4. I mean, mathematically, if he got like a 15 or a 14 win and the Yusho,
Yeah.
maybe. Even then, maybe not. But like,
I don't know.
Maybe
but
if he
if he
saved
gets
it,
a
baby.
solid, if he gets like
Yes.
10 plus, then yeah, he's on step 2 of his Ozeki run. So I don't know. That's all I wanted to bring up.
Maybe if he like saved the baby from like during the trophy ceremony or something like that.
The
Because it was
entire
climbing-
YBC was in like a burning bus, and Daisho single-handedly saves them all.
Yeah. So it's like the mathematics lines up and everyone's just have a good heart. It's like, you know what? Daisho, you've done
Okay.
good. You've done
I know
good.
there was an 8 and 7, but like you're okay. You know what? You're okay, man.
Since we're here, since we're talking about him, since we have to talk about Daisho, I had looked at Daisho and Abi and consciously decided not to put them on the outline because we know what they're gonna do. We know exactly who these two guys are.
Yeah.
They're gonna do like okay to middlingly bad. That's probably what they're gonna do.
You say
Looking-
of 2 former Yusho winners.
Shut up. So looking at Daisho and his career in the top division after getting 11 wins, he got 11 followed up by 4. He got 11 followed up by 5. He got 13 followed up by 8. He got 11 followed up by 6. He got 12 followed up by 10. That's his best one. Then he got 11 followed up by 8. So once we've seen him get 11 or more and then followed up with another double-digit thing. Like we said, he's going to get 6 to 9 wins, more likely than anything. If he gets another 11 wins, and we're talking about a potential Daisho Ozeki run in 2025, I would be floored. I would be flabbergasted.
I certainly wouldn't pick it to happen. I'm just saying him not being on the bullet point was, I don't know. I just thought he should be on there.
All right.
But
Jake,
Ryan
what
can't
about
stop
Abi?
talking
What
about
about
Daisho
Abi? He's
here.
in the Sanyaku. What about Abi? We got to talk about him now. We talked about Daisho. What about
Yeah,
Abi?
but we know who he is. We know what
Yeah,
he's going to do.
exactly.
He's going to be middling to whatever the other thing Ryan said.
All right, good. We talked about Abi. Waka
Boom.
Takakage
Check it off.
and Wakamoto Haru. Both of them dropping out of the Sanyaku ranks after last Basho. Wakamoto Haru's kind of been in and out of the Sanyaku for a little while. Waka Takakage, got to specify when we're talking about both the Wakas, which Waka I'm talking about. Waka Takakage had just made it up to the Sanyaku ranks for the first time since his return from his ACL injury. So, Flarek, which Waka is primed to return to Sanyaku?
Oh, why do you have to do this to me? Why do you have to do this to me?
For this exact reason.
I guess both of them had like a little bit rough. I was pulling up the results last tournament. Yeah, I guess they kind of definitely have probably a little bit of an off tournament for Wakamoto Haru. Looking back at this, and Waka Takakage was all rise, baby, until the hype got ahead of him, and he had a 7 and 8. Next person to get into Sanyaku again. Oh, that's so
How come you don't
interesting.
have either, neither, or both for this one?
Yeah, I
didn't want
Really?
don't want to say Waka Takakage. I just really don't want to say it, but I think he has Sanyaku in him. I think he can probably get maybe a Komusubi or maybe a Sekiwake for a little bit. Not Ozeki. I don't think that's in his cards.
I after last Basho, and it's one Basho, but after last Basho, like we've seen a lot of Wakataka Kage in the Sanyaku ranks, and that was like 2 years ago, and now he's 2 years older. He's 30 years old at this point. That's old enough where we can make judgments on where they're going in their career. Am I okay in this, Jake?
Let me check the charts real quick, but you go on. No, I think that's fair. Like we know who he is, and he's not getting younger, but like 30 doesn't necessarily mean he's like dead to sumo, but like it means that it's unlikely he will turn a corner and change dramatically, right?
He did win a Yusho a few years back while he was in the Sanyaku ranks, but he never really put together anything really close to a full Ozeki run, and him coming back like 3 years after him being at the height of his game, being 30 years old. It's probably pretty unlikely that he's going to put it all together for another Ozeki run, but can he bounce back, get 10 or 11 this time? Absolutely.
Fleric, I think this is the most animated I've seen you in a conversation. Go ahead. You've got something else to say. Go for it.
He did not like what me and Ryan were saying.
No, that's why I was like, oh, I need to hear this.
I think actually your argument actually convinced me a little bit, Ryan. I was getting annoyed that you were kind of saying like, I think we can probably say who this guy is after he just got back from a long injury and he just had one off basho after having like a 14-1 in Juryo, 11-1, 12-3, 10-5.
Oh yeah.
But
like,
once again, look at that competition he was going up against versus who he went up against last basho.
Yeah, okay, last basho. That's great. Granted, I'll give you that, but we still one sample size in this current Sanyaku and Joy.
He got 10-5, facing all the same guys. He faced pretty much all the same guys in November that he did in January, and did a little bit worse this time.
Really reflects how he was as a Sekiwake. I got 11 wins this time. Next basho, I'm going to get 8. I got 12 wins this time. Next basho, I get 9. It kind of just reflects who he was as a Sekiwake as well.
Okay. So that part of the argument, I think that's what kind of won me over, because like this is looking to be the same trend that he had before. Mm-hmm. But I don't believe in the guy, but I think we have to see a little bit more from him to kind of get an idea of where he's at. Because this is an entirely new Joy as well. Like the metagame is changing. Like was it back then was all big boys and like being speedy was like really good.
Let's take a look at his 12-3 Yusho, who was in the Sanyaku and Joy. We're going way too deep on this, but who cares?
Oh yeah,
it's our podcast. We can do whatever we want. So the Sanyaku was Teruno Fuji, Shodai, Takakeisho, Mitake Yumi, Abi, Takanosho, Hoshoryu. And then our top 3 Maegashira ranks, Daisho, Ura, Ichinojo, Tamawashi, Onosho, and Meisei.
Wow, we are digging back.
I don't really see much of a huge difference there. I'm not sure that I
necessarily take the 2022 Joy over our current Joy.
Yeah,
I would.
I mean, it has Teruno Fuji in it, so I might, but
that part's different.
Yeah. But Teruno Fuji went 3-12 and pulled out after day 6.
Yeah, but the big thing I want to say is like metagames can change. Like different rikshis can be better against other ones depending who's at the top. We don't know exactly. I think I need to see more data to see exactly where he's going to be with that. But I don't want. He's freaking trash. You have to know. He's overhyped.
We need to start with Fleric's conclusion and then find the evidence that fits that. No, I get it. Yeah. I get where he's coming from.
What's the thesis? You put it at the front and then you explain afterward.
Yeah. I think Wakataka Kage is gonna he's gonna be in that like category of almost Ozeki's, like like the borderline.
Abi. I think he's just gonna kind of
Tamawashi.
fall in line. Yeah, just like I think he could probably hang around Sanyaku or the Joy for the next couple of years. I just don't ever really think he's going to put it all together in a 3 basho stretch to make it up to Ozeki.
I kind of thought he was an inevitable like career achievement award Ozeki, the way that Shodai and Mitake Yumi were. But that was before his injury. That's what I was expecting from him. Now after the injury and the extra time, I don't know. I'm not as high on him, but I think that he can. I'm not completely writing him off for a 7 and 8. He could bounce back just fine. This is
right. Yeah, absolutely. I think this basho, he could absolutely pop off for like 12, 11 wins. I just don't think it's going to be carried over to the next basho. Like we're waiting to see from Oho this time. Can he carry over that performance to the next one? Keen Bozan, can he carry over that performance that he had last basho? Can he avoid a disappointing follow-up?
Oh, hold on, Flair, go.
But
sorry.
To wrap it all up, Wakamoto Haru is gonna be first to get back to Sunday.
Okay,
He made his decision.
Okay.
He made his
Thank
decision.
you. Sorry, I had forgot about the initial question.
This is the whole
I had
point.
asked.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to interrupt Ryan and just be like, next bullet point, Kim Bozan. No, it was a fluke.
So, Mac, can Keen Bozan avoid a disappointing follow-up to his playoff loss? He, kind of similar to Takeru Fuji and Hakuoho, is currently sitting in his previous career high rank at Maegashira 5. So what are our expectations for Keen Bozan coming off of his 12-3 playoff loss last basho?
Absolutely nothing. Move on.
I mean,
Yeah, I think
maybe.
that he is still he is still in a position where he could make improvements, and I know I've been overusing this, but turn that corner. Have like a later resurgence than a lot of guys have after a middling last couple years. Because he was on fire in his first basho in the top division, but then he's just been either bad
and then he
or
was promoted
middling
to
since then.
Maegashira 5.
Yeah.
So like
And
Keen
did
Bozan,
terrible.
His debut was at Maegashira 14. Last basho, Maegashira 14. He got 11-4 in his first basho, 12-3 this basho. He was then promoted up to Maegashira 5. Last time that happened, he went 4-11. We have yet to see what happens to him this time.
And
He spent a year and a half in middling Maegashira, then went down to Juryo and decided to be good again. So, I see no reason to think that this is going to stick. It's not impossible, but it's very low likelihood that this is anything but a fluke.
And that's why, exactly, just as you had said, that is exactly my reason for him thinking he can. Do I want the guy to do well? Yes. It's just history doesn't favor it, and given the current state of the upper levels right now, I don't see it happening. I mean, there's a lot of really good people out there, and I don't think Kim Bozan can hang with them.
Yeah,
I was just second guessing.
Kiyoshima, Tobizaru, Takanosho, Ichi Yamamoto. Those are the 4 guys that I cherry picked. Like everybody else, if I had said their name, would have been ridiculous. So yeah, I mean that's a good point. There's like 4 names that I could be like, oh yeah, Keen Bozan can take care of him, but then the rest I had to avoid because that would make my point not sound good.
Yeah. No, I only took issue with you saying that you wanted to see him do well. And I was like, do you though? How come?
Well, because I love chaos, and chaos really sums up a lot of my energy with a lot of these tournaments. So you guys like the storylines and the narrative, and while we should have somebody at the top who is consistent, I am all about the crazy. That is what I love about this sport is, again, Tokushoryu was prime example, bottom of the Bansuke, win 14-1. I watch this sport for the chaos, baby.
Chaos only happens if it's disrupting the order.
So bring it. But no, Kim Bozan's probably going to follow up with a disappointing tournament. Anyway, moving on.
Moving on to Atami Fuji. This is the first time in a year that he is going to find himself outside of the Joy. What are our expectations for Atami Fuji now that he's sitting at Maegashira 8? He was in Maegashira 1-3 for almost a full year, and he got 8-7, 7-8, 6-9, 8-7. He's just kind of in that range. So now that he's kind of out of that meat grinder, he's safely out of there. What are we expecting from Atami Fuji, Jake?
I've always been high on Atami Fuji. I think that a year getting your feet under you in the Joy doesn't. The fact that he had one bad tournament here doesn't change that for me. I think that he's I don't know if I expect another 11 wins like he got last time he was this low. But yeah, I expect him back up in the Joy. I don't necessarily see him as a future Ozeki, but I see him as an occasional Sanyaku kind of guy for his career.
We're writing off Atami Fuji as he can't be an Ozeki, Jake. He's only 22 years old.
I feel like it's a little. Can't be.
I feel like it's a little too soon to be making this kind of talk about his career, Jake.
You're trying to pull a Jake on me, whereas you
just said you don't think he's going to be Ozeki.
I did say that.
How could you say that? He's 22 years old. He could be whatever he wants to be, Jake. He could even be an astronaut.
You can't do to me what I did to you about Oho, because I don't get riled up the way that you do.
Oh my God.
I still did it, and I'm proving my point that I
Sekiwake
can
Oho, I
have.
should say.
My main point is I'm allowed to have an opinion about a rickshaw, however wrong and premature it might be. I'm allowed to have an
You're
opinion.
entitled to be wrong.
So I don't get riled up like that. But here's an angry rant about Oho.
I wasn't saying I don't get riled up. Obviously, I do. It's kind of my thing. I was just proving my point that you're allowed to have opinions about people when they're not 27 years old.
Yeah, and I just don't expect Atami Fuji to be a Ozeki. I don't think it's
Thank
impossible.
you that I was allowed to not expect Oho could. I'm not a bad guy.
You were saying much harsher things about Oho in the last year.
man.
But I think that Atami Fuji is unlikely but possible to get Ozeki.
See, now he's
But-
got to backtrack because I pointed out his hypocrisy.
How did I phrase it before? Because I want to double down on that.
You said you
instead.
don't think he's going to be Ozeki.
I don't think he's going to be an Ozeki, but I do think that he's going to bounce back up into the joy. There you go. That's my button on that one.
All right, fair enough. You know
I
what, Jake?
appreciate you directed that to me because nobody else cares about that guy.
I respect your opinion about Atami Fuji, no matter how much I might. Actually, I kind of start to agree with you. I mean, he could have done something when he was in the joy. Show us a little bit. I mean, come on.
It's a really good argument from me. I don't blame you for being a little convinced here.
Shut. I'm not talking to you anymore. All right. Mac or Fleric, is there anybody else we want to talk about in the top division?
The fall of Mitaki Yumi. Not really doing all that great right now.
Oh yeah, I forgot about. I had Mitaki Yumi on there.
I was about to say, I'm reading the next bullet down. It's like, well, hang on. As anybody else, Mitaki Yumi would count as anybody else at this
I got
point.
myself riled up.
I was about to say, okay.
It happens, buddy.
Yeah. So yeah, Mitaki Yumi had an absolutely disastrous Hatsu Basho, going 2-13. He is the current holder of the GSB losers belt, and he's sitting at Maegashira 17, on the verge of dropping down to Juryo and ending the third longest active Makuuchi streak in the top division, which started in, oh my God, it was like 9 years ago? 2016, sometime in 2016.
Well done.
I think it was November of 2011 is when he debuted in Makuuchi. But that is the third longest streak behind Tamawashi, who last came up from Juryo in July of 2013, and Takayasu, who has had an unbroken streak in the top division from July 2011 onwards.
Dang.
So Hokuto Fuji just broke a long streak of being in the top division. Mitaki Yumi could be following up behind him. Now, I ask Mac and Fleric only, is there anybody else in the top division we haven't talked about you'd like to talk about?
This man.
Yeah, I was going to say, Max
Hey,
got to bring
Jake,
up
no,
Shishi.
Right there.
Jake. I asked Mac and Fleric.
This man right here. He's back up. He's back. He's going to do great. He's just going to do great. That's all I'm going to say. You watch him. He's going to be awesome.
Is that
For like the half of our audience that doesn't watch on YouTube, that was a card of Shishi.
Yes, I'm pointing at Shishi.
You're pointing at a card of Shishi. I don't know
still
where Shishi
him.
is right now.
I don't know, vaguely east and maybe a little bit south.
I'm gonna say Shirokuma. He's back.
Yeah.
Mostly because I just
Polar
like the
bear.
game. He got knocked down pretty hard last time. It looked like he was a little bit injured, so hopefully this goes better.
We will see. All right, Jake, if you had anybody else you wanted to talk about in the top division, we could.
Well, actually, I don't have something. I was just starting to see if you were planning to cut me off as a bit or something. Nope, I'm good.
I realized pretty quickly me refusing to talk to you when we still have like half of the podcast. Well, not half, probably like a third of the podcast left to go is probably untenable and not as funny as it probably should be for like that.
You
amount
don't
of time.
have that many people to talk to. You can't really write me off.
Yeah, I mean, it's Mac and Fleric. I mean, honestly, come on.
Yeah,
Like,
good point.
I'm not gonna know how to get a black belt in sumo.
I don't want a
yeah,
black belt in sumo.
Wait, no, that would be bad because if I wasn't talking to Jake, then I wouldn't be able to compete, which is like my favorite thing to do. Which we are competing for the black belt. So yeah, Jake's my best friend. Everything you do is wonderful and glorious, and I would like as many fake points in this black belt game as I can get.
Of course. When did we ever decide we were
Secretly
competing
my
against?
favorite still.
Yeah.
Wait, are you guys competing? I missed that part.
I am.
You just
Moving on,
decided it was
Jury
on
on
the
lower.
I don't know about those two, but I am.
All right, fair enough. What's next?
All right. Juryo and lower. Enho, in his kind of attempt to make it back to the top division, he is back up to Makushita 30. So his return so far is going very well. But this is when it's going to start getting really tough for him now that he's getting back into Makushita, especially when he gets back up into the upper levels of Makushita. There is a new Rikishi, Fukuzaki, who is making history as the first ever high school student to be given Makushita Tsukedashi status. So he will be debuting this basho, and he's headlining a group of 34 Rikishi making their grand sumo debut this basho.
Wow.
Most of us know Haru is the basho where the most Rikishi are going to be debuting on the calendar year. So we're getting 34 new ones this year, which is 7 more new recruits than this same basho last year.
Nice.
Yeah, that's interesting. That must be like with the rule change of where they stopped like the really high Makushita Tsukedashi at Makushita 15, but they also allowed that people who do well in high school that they can jump in and get that, I think, rank as well.
I don't know if that's a new rule change or not. I just don't know if like the set of circumstances that would allow for Makushita Tsukedashi had never been achieved by a high schooler before, or they had been achieved by a high schooler, but they decided they wanted to go to university, or if it is like a rule change that they hadn't allowed it before.
I'm pretty sure they have to do well at their high school like circuit tournament of sorts, which I'm sure there's always one high schooler who does well, and maybe it probably is weird that he doesn't want to continue into the collegiate system, but
yeah.
I believe this is the new rule change, and this is probably the first guy kind of taking advantage of that, which is very interesting.
Yeah, and it is still fairly recent change that he will be debuting at Makushita 60 instead of up at Makushita 15 or 10 with guys that we saw like Onosato and Hakuoho, who were able to start right at the top of Makushita.
Yeah, and I just wanted to highlight the fact that we have 34 Rikishi. I guess this is harder, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The big reason for that is high school graduation. It's like a lot of high schools graduated, and so they were now able to enter pro sumo. So,
hey, what did you say the guy's name was? I'm not seeing him on here.
Fukuzaki. The Tsukedashi Rikishi really don't make it onto Sumo DB until after the basho starts.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Down in Sandanme, Asanoyama is going to be coming back this basho to really make one last go of kind of getting back to Ozeki and seeing how far he can go. He's starting his comeback from his ACL injury that has kept him out of action since July, and he's going to be Sandanme 21. And we have a new American in sumo to keep our eyes on, making his debut in the Jonokuchi division. It is 19-year-old Hikaru Musashi. He's going to be at Jonokuchi 14, and I believe he is the nephew of former Yokozuna Musashi Maru, the current Musashigawa Oyakata, and Hikaru Musashi is in Musashigawa Beya.
Yep. It's been a while since we've had Hawaiians, so good to see another one in the mix.
All right, Jake, it is time for us to compete at the belt rankings.
Well, I don't know how you can compete because I haven't told you what the words are. I just kind of said what they were so that if you already knew them, you could ponder on them, make sure you knew which ones they were. Mm-hmm. So I guess if we have to compete, how about I read the words and raise your hand if you know what they are. First off, Chugoshi. Flerick, do you remember what this one is?
This is probably the one I don't know.
Okay. Chugoshi, I have this one first because a lot of other stuff comes around it. Chugoshi is the ready position for sumo. So we don't necessarily... we don't necessarily So Chugoshi is just the position you want to be when you are in a match. So it's something that you do a lot in your exercises. So you got a hunched back, you're protecting your chin, you have your elbows together and your hands extended. And you got your feet nice and wide and you're squatted down. Chugoshi is a word that we come back to because it's the posture you want.
before we go on with this, Jake, I don't think at the top we really explained the whole like belt system, because amateur sumo has belts.
That's a good point.
What are these belts, and how do you achieve those belts in amateur sumo, and what are we doing to try to like mimic that?
Yeah, so I originally intended to have like a bonus episode where we would cover that, but the short version is this is a system that was devised. Black belts are awarded to wrestlers in Japan in the amateur sumo system based on some other criteria that I'm less familiar with. But the American way that we're trying to kind of replicate that and get people interested in learning the vocabulary and progressing in their knowledge of sumo, it's just kind of invented here as like a 5-step belt system, where the first belt you earn, the one that we're working on in this basho, is your yellow belt. It's got basic stuff. You know your basic warm-ups. You can count to 10 in Japanese, things like that. You know how to tie a belt. That's the first step. And then you start adding vocabulary as you go up all the way to black belt. So a lot of this stuff is obviously not going to apply to a podcast format, because part of it is you just have to demonstrate that you understand these concepts better than you did at your last belt rank. So like a yellow, if you have your yellow belt, it was easier to get your yellow belt than it would be to earn your orange belt, the next one up, because your tester is going to probe you further to talk about what you're doing and what these terms, not just the vocabulary memorization, but like what do these things mean. So yeah, these first 5 vocab words are kind of like just the absolute basics of what you should try to do if you wanted to get up off of your butt and learn how to do sumo. These are kind of like 5 core concepts, and we're not going to be able to like describe them in enough detail that you can just do it at a high level, but we're going to try and learn the vocab, because this is vocab that you can, once you know the word, you can Google it and you can look at what it's supposed to look like, you know? And these are all things that, at least for this one, these are all things that you can do alone, at home, no partner, no weights, no nothing, just to work on general sumo knowledge. So that first one, Chugoshi, that is your ready position. Yeah. Elbows nice and tucked. You're squatted. You're in a strong position here. But a lot of these exercises start in a Chugoshi position, which is why it's the first one. Second vocab word is Shiko, and I bet you all probably know what that one is.
Foot
That's
stomps.
What's that?
It's the lift. You lift and then you bring it back down.
Yeah.
Yep,
In a stomping manner.
And yes, yeah. The more I'm going to give Mac the slight edge here, because the lift is more important than stomp. Like, it's not about trying to stomp through the floor. It's about lifting your legs so high that you get a good stretch, a good balance. Look up Abi doing Shiko, because he can get like that leg almost vertical. It's ridiculous. But do a handful of those at home. If it's the first time you've done them, you will be tired. Next up, our third word, because I do kind of want to breeze through this, Koshiwari. This is a squat stretch. So same Chugoshi position, and you go all the way down. You squat all the way down to the ground until your hips and your knees tell you that is as far as you go. So yeah, it's something that you generally in Iowa Sumo, we practice with a bunch of Shiko, and then you go into Koshiwari, because as soon as you've started activating those muscles, Koshiwari really gets that flexibility going at the beginning of practice. Now, Shinkyaku, this is another stretch that you do from the Chugoshi position. You basically have your feet nice and wide, and you go all the way down on one side, stretching out and extending your other leg. Then you go to the other side. You squat down on one leg and extend your other leg to stretch. And last is Suriashi. That's our 5th vocab word for today. Mac, you know what that one is? What can you tell me about it?
That's the thrusting stretch, isn't it?
No, this one is a movement drill. So this one is you get in your Chugoshi position and you shuffle across the ring to practice your form. You work on your muscle memory of where do your feet go, where do your hips go, where do your hands go. So yeah, in practice, this is one that we'll do 5 or 10 minutes of everybody just rotating through the lineup, doing lots of Suriashi so that we can practice our form. Because just like I said for Chugoshi, that's where you want to be, is that strong, ready position.
That's the one where you can have like a train. You do like a train around the dojo.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody
Tons of
back
variations.
in. Yeah, we've seen that in a few different videos.
If you see guys just kind of shuffling forwards with nobody in front of them, but they're acting as if it's a sumo match, that is Suriashi. All right, we'll do a quick breeze through of those words one more time at the very end, but those are our 5 introductory vocab words for our orange or yellow belt.
We'll take a quick break at this point. We'll come back with the GSB belt, and we will determine our champs and chumps for the Haru Basho.
You're listening to Grand Sumo Breakdown, the world's #1 sumo podcast, according to 3 out of 4 hosts of Grand Sumo Breakdown. Keep an eye out for our preview, midway, and recap podcasts for every professional sumo tournament, and a host of bonus episodes in between. Help support us by joining our Patreon and spreading the word about our show. Every penny we raise is reinvested in improving our podcast. We also help run amateur sumo events and produce the American Sumo newsletter, which you can find on our website, grandsumobreakdown.wordpress.com. Reach out to us on social media if there's anything you'd like to learn about sumo, or if you'd like to try it yourself.
Welcome back. We're going to take a look at the GSB belt. If you have been listening to this podcast, you probably know the gist, but basically starting in 1 year ago, Haru of 2024, we started our current iteration of our GSB belt. So the winner's belt, let's see, it was Dewa Taikai versus Sawai Samu in Jonokuchi, the very first match of that entire tournament. The winner gets the belt, and whoever beats that guy gets the belt, and whoever beats that guy gets the belt until it gets all the way to the top. Our current belt is sitting on Juryo 6 West Hidenoumi. This is the Sumo and Babes guy, right?
Yep.
Tobizaru's brother?
Yep.
So yeah, he's sitting there at Juryo. Anybody that beats him that's higher ranked will move that belt up, and we'll see how quickly it gets to Hoshoryu, our top ranked wrestler. Probably not this basho, probably not the next one, but I bet you it'll happen this year. If you are a longtime listener, you'll remember that this belt got stuck in the upper Makushita ranks for like 2 years last time we tried this. It was freaking stupid. At the same time, at the beginning of Haru of 2024, we started a loser's belt. So Teruno Fuji, you're the top ranked guy on the Bansuke, you have the loser's belt. And whoever loses his next match gets the belt, and whoever loses that guy's next match gets the belt. And we'll see how far down this belt goes, how long it takes to get out of the top division. And it still has a little bit to go. This belt has not been lost out of the top division yet. It's sitting on Maegashira 17 East, Mitakeyumi. So it very well could see a lot more losses on that belt this time around.
Mm-hmm.
So keep an eye on those. We'll update you guys during the midway.
All right, so that brings us to our champ and chump selections, which means we are going to be starting with our 2-time defending Tsukebito, Mr. Mac. We do need to figure out who is going 3rd and 4th this basho, because Jake and I tied for the win last time, and in an effort to make sure I was guaranteed a point for winning a tournament in our end of year standings, I determined that ties are okay now because it benefited me.
But now it might not.
But now we've got to figure out who chooses first for 3rd for champs and 4th for champs. Flaric.
Ryan, quick, what's Koshiwari?
Koshiwari is the squats.
Okay.
Nice.
Yes.
Ryan gets
to
my
be
vote.
fair, I did also know that answer.
It's true.
So I have Flaric's vote. Flaric, would you be okay if I took a step back and took the 4th position for champ?
Or the 4th position for champ?
Yes.
Oh, we'll take the number one.
I'll let
spot.
Jake have 3rd, and I'll take 4th. Are we all okay with that?
I am simply an Ozeki. How about what do you feel like?
Jake gave a thumbs up. I say we're good.
I'm good with it.
All right. Let's do it.
He wants the first chump pick. And
there was only one. There was only one that stood out to me, and if it got beyond that one, I was completely lost. So yep,
picking Oho, isn't he?
Maybe.
No, I think there's a couple good ones. All right, so since it's already being typed into the outline, Mac, why don't you tell us who you're picking first for your champ?
You got to go with the current Yokozuna. Got to be Hoshoryu.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, Yokozuna's got to win for me this time.
Don't blame you.
Mm-hmm.
But Mac, have you considered how loose that cartilage is?
Yeah.
It's flapping in the wind, Mac.
It might not just be loose. It could be so loose.
It could be so loose, but I'm not going to touch that joke That is too easy. Continuing on, Fleric.
I am torn, but I think I'm gonna go with Kotozakura as my
All right.
champ.
Nice.
Jake got his Onosato, I'm assuming.
Sure did.
And we all know Kirishima's back, baby. Kirishima's totally back.
All right.
Wait,
Yeah.
hold on.
I'm less worried about Ryan's strategy now.
Hold on. Aonishiki. Aonishiki.
Okay.
Oh.
We're going off the board.
I was
Wow.
definitely I was definitely thinking that if we were doing like a fantasy draft where we had more than one pick, Aonishiki's definitely on my list, but I don't think
Okay.
I'd put him above any of the upper rank guys that we've already picked.
Yeah, obviously Kirishima would have been the no, I wouldn't have chosen him over any of the three.
Okay.
But Kirishima is just inconsistent enough that I'm gonna
You're not
trust
ready.
that Aonishiki
You are not prepared.
can barrel through. I'm gonna take Chiyoshima.
You son of a...
Nice.
He was like on the fringe of the joy last time, but what really sealed it for me is because like he started off great. He started off fantastic last basho. He finished 9-6. He beat Hirada Umi, Ura, Ichi Yamamoto, Endo, Takayasu, Mitaki Yumi, Roga, Chura no Umi, Shona no Umi. What happened when he fought the top guys? He lost to Kirishima, Hoshoryu, Onosato, Daisho, Wakamoto Haru, and threw in a Takeda Fuji for good favor. So yeah, I'm taking Chiyoshima here.
I am going to take the correct first pick
Nope.
that has nothing to do nothing to do with opposition, nothing to do with who he's going to face. I'm going to pick Mitaki Yumi.
See, I thought about that, but maybe he got right in the past 2 months.
After a couple of years of declining.
I was about to say, 4-11,
if this
7-8,
time-
2-13. Oh,
All right, on to Fleric.
Oh, indeed.
Who's your chump?
I am torn. I kind of want to go big on one of these, but I think I'm gonna go a little bit safe, and I'm gonna pick Asakoryu as my chump.
Fair.
Another fair one. This is his second time in the top division. First time did
Yes.
not go very well.
Yes. All accurate.
my top two are gone. I thought I was going to get Mitaki Yumi, but no.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you suck. All right. Who else I got to pick from?
Take a look at Kinbozan.
I'm debating on Kinbozan.
Hey,
Yeah.
can I give you what I think would be an interesting pick for you?
Do I trust you?
No, but hear me out.
Okay.
The guy that you've decided to hate more than any other wrestler is at his career high rank.
Ooh,
Is he?
That's not
Ichi
bad.
Yamamoto has never been as high.
Oh, well,
Yep.
then I feel like I must. I feel like I must then.
All right, going for it.
I must.
He must.
I must. At this point,
Taking-
it's like he is not my sworn enemy. Therefore, I must pick him in this tournament, even though he's not the one I wanted.
The
Like,
thing-
all right,
the-
I have to follow a narrative.
The ultimate hater move and the thing to really make sure you hate Ichi Yamamoto, take him as your champ.
There's an idea.
Then he'll piss you off. Because
No.
you're going to lose.
No.
And
So
then that
badly.
way you'll be guaranteed to hate him.
No, I'm going to keep him as a chump.
All right. So yeah, social media, send us your predictions. We're gonna send out a post on Blue Sky for the bold predictions. Send us your bold predictions on the YouTube comments to this video. If you're in the GSB Discord, we will post a thread in the GSB Games channel for all of your bold predictions. Send us to them any way you can, except for Twitter. We're not going to check that.
The
And
Sumo
this is how
mystery-
you. Sorry, go ahead, Mac.
Oh, no, I was going to say, the Sumo mystery is coming. I have not forgotten about it. It is only 66% written. I have Act 1 and Act 2
Oh,
written.
yeah.
I am working on Act 3 right now.
Ooh, 3 acts.
It's a 3-act.
Yeah. Sumo mysteries, they take some time.
They do. Well,
You really
especially
gotta
to make
cook
it
'em.
good. So I've got the skeleton written, and I have it being reviewed by a couple other mystery buffs. So I'm like, okay, is this good? Do you like it? So again, Act 1 and Act 2, good. I have to close it. Act 3, I have to close it out.
Yeah.
All right.
So yes, that's Mac's punishment from losing the last basho. We'll cover
What
that
happened?
Also,
midway.
Flaric's punishment from losing 8 basho ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
But those bold predictions though, that's how you get your free GSB t-shirt. If you have the most accurate and also wildest, most bold, most out there and it comes true, that's how you get your free GSB t-shirt. So please participate if you like. All right, last round here. Gonna go, everybody take a look at those 5 words.
Mm-hmm.
And now, going honor system, I'm taking them off.
They're not there
So,
anymore.
Mac, you're first. Tell me what Suriashi is.
Suriashi is the being down, bent, arms wide, and you just shuffle across the ring.
Correct. The phrase you'll most commonly hear is movement drill. This is
Movement
like
drill, yes.
practicing your movement. Yep. Ryan, show us Chugoshi. You don't have to show. It's a podcast. It's fine.
He's doing
it anyway.
Wait, but he can't hear us. He can't hear us.
No, not anymore.
Wider.
Hey, that's better. That's better.
He widened his space. He remembered.
Yeah. He went straight down at first, but then he was like, oh yeah, sumo legs. I got to make them wider.
Yeah.
Yes, good call.
For those,
Yes.
I saw myself. I'm like, that's way
That's
too
not
close
good.
together. Yeah.
for those with not benefiting from the video feed, that was fantastic Sugoshi from GSB Ryan.
I was just giving you shit. I didn't think you were going to do it.
Shigoshi.
Okay, Fleric. What is the word for the leg stretch? Go down one direction.
Shinkyaku.
Boy, nicely done. I didn't do I didn't do Shiko because that's the easy one, and Koshiwari we already had Ryan.
Yeah, that's
remember
about to say.
that
He
one.
already did his thing.
Shiko's the easy one. Lift the leg up, get a good stretch, stomp it down. Switch
Foot
sides,
stomps.
do a bunch of them.
Foot stomps.
Keep your balance.
But
And then Koshiwari.
Controlled.
Koshiwari is that nice wide base. Get in your Chugoshi position, squat all the way down. We are going to have these 5 words listed in the description of this episode, so you can Google it to see a better version of what it looks like, especially better than if you are listening to this as a non-video podcast, because you'll probably want a little bit better description than what we gave you.
Exactly.
So
And
those
then-
5 words, I assume you know them forever, so I'm checking them off our list.
And then we're gonna move on with some more requirements for achieving our yellow belts in the next couple of episodes.
Yes, we'll roughly cover 1 belt of basho is kind of where we're aiming.
Okay.
There's less
All right.
vocab as you get higher because the higher belts are more about demonstrating that you understand it, but we'll just keep leveling up that vocab a little bit. So yeah, we'll spend, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes or so on each episode for a little while as we work our way up there.
All right. What is everybody most excited for this basho? I'm just going to go ahead and take the easy one off the table. Obviously, Hoshoryu's first basho as a Yokozuna. Like,
Gimme.
how's he going to do? Is he going to live up to the pressure? Is he going to go like 8-7 or like have a losing record? Like, that'd be crazy. Like, if he just completely fell apart, had a losing record.
Not again.
Finish the
I don't think
Not
that's going to happen, but it could. So yeah, just seeing how Hoshoryu does coming into this basho. Anybody excited for something more than that?
Shishi. Duh.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, for me, Aonishiki is going to be very exciting to watch because he's new, because he's rocketed up the divisions so fast. I'm excited to see him. But yeah, along with him are other hot prospects: Takeru Fuji, Haku Oho. I don't know if Onosato really counts. He's kind of like rapidly
He's an
established.
Ozeki.
Yeah, he's like the old guard already somehow.
He's become the man.
Yeah.
And Atami Fuji. Yep, I'll keep him in that group. Yeah, I just want to see all those guys do well, do that, see some good stuff out of the next generation.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and just expand on Hoshoryu to the Onosato and Kotozakura. I feel like they are very, very close. Hoshoryu put it together first, and like he proved he's the best Rikishi at the time. But Onosato and Kotozakura are very close behind, and I would love to see how they respond to him getting promoted.
I know it was somebody mentioned it earlier too, but like, yeah, Hoshoryu is the Yokozuna, but the gap between Yokozuna and Ozeki is smaller than it has been for our last couple Yokozuna at the top. So at least for now, well, Hoshoryu, maybe this is what'll take him to the next level. But for now, we got to see where he still stands against these 2 rivals of his.
It's been a while, but like there was a time where there were 3 Yokozuna of Hakuho, Haru Fuji, and Kakuryu. So
Yeah.
For one brief basho, there were 4.
That's true.
one
That
brief
there were.
basho.
Aruma Fuji, isn't that one where we got?
Technically, it was like 4 or 5 basho, but I think they only all competed in the same basho one time.
And probably
And
at
that
least
might
two of them
not-
pulled out.
And that might not even be accurate. Before we leave, I'm just going to check.
Of
that
course you
time.
have to. All right, Mac, what are you most excited for while Ryan nerds out?
He said
He already
Shishi.
I said Shishi.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. My bad.
All right, so Kisei no Sato's first one, they all four started, but Hakuho did not finish. And then, of course, Kisei no Sato pulled out of the next one, as did Kakuryu. And then the next one, Kisei no Sato pulled out, as did Kakuryu. And then the next one, Hakuho, Kisei no Sato, Kakuryu, all did not even start, and it was just Harumafuji. And then in November, Kakuryu didn't even start. Kisei no Sato pulled out, and Harumafuji retired because he beat somebody upside the head with a remote control.
Or
So
a beer
we
bottle,
never-
we don't know.
Yeah. The one you're looking for, by the way, is Aki of 2018, where we did only have the 3 Yokozuna, but they all finished the tournament.
Yeah.
Kakuryu and Kisei no Sato 10-5, and Hakuho wins LOL 15-0.
Yeah.
But so but there was years and years before that where they were
Oh,
competing for lots and lots of bashos. And
Yeah.
I realized in my heart of hearts, I would love to see something similar. So
Totally.
Maybe
very
it'll
curious
happen.
to see- very curious to see how this goes.
I think this era is ripe for having multiple Yokozuna because Hoshoryu is less dominant. Or at least at this point, yeah.
Yeah, we've gone like 3 years between Yokozuna, from like Kakuryu to Kisei no Sato to Teru no Fuji to Hoshoryu. I would be floored if we didn't have one more between Kotozakura and Onosato by the end of 2026, if not sooner, and if not both of them. I think we're definitely ripe for multiple Yokozuna. I think both Kotozakura and Onosato absolutely have very high Yokozuna potential, and I could easily see both of them making it that far.
And logistically, they just gotta get more Yokozuna. There's so many birthday parties going on.
Oh my gosh.
Too many.
Too much for one man to do.
So many cakes.
Why do you think Teru no Fuji had to miss all the time that he did? It was all the travel going across Japan, popping out of cakes.
Yeah.
That's
Hey,
a
real
that's
quick,
a true moneymaker. That's a true moneymaker by the Kyokai.
Yeah, that's how Sumo stays afloat. Real quick for Yokozuna promotions, the last time that it happened twice in 1 year was 1987.
Ooh.
The last time that it happened in even consecutive years was 98 and 99. So yeah,
Wakanohana Musashi Maru.
I already scrolled past it. No one will ever be able to find it again. Yes, no, that's correct.
Okay.
Since then, the closest we've had was Harumafuji 2012 and Kakuryu 2014. So yeah, that's generally 3 to 4 years in between. But yeah, we have 3 guys at the top that are all somewhat close. So it'd be cool to see. To see Hoshoryu have some other Yokozunas.
Absolutely. So that is going to wrap up our preview for the Haru Basho. This Basho is going to be starting on March 9th. So it's coming up in just 1 week from the time we're recording this. We just released our Bonsuke recap. Check that out if you haven't already. We also released the 2025 Series 1 trading card opening. We will be, before the Haru Basho, we will be sending out the message on our Patreon for you to basically ask for what cards you want. It's going to be first come, first serve basis. But luckily, I did open up 2 boxes this time, which means I have
Plenty.
4 Hoshoryu cards. I have 3 Onosato cards. So the first time that somebody takes Hoshoryu, you're not out of luck. There's a couple more that are going to be coming this time. So there's going to be plenty of cards available for you. So if you're in our Patreon, $2 level or higher, keep an eye out for that in this coming week.
Real quick, for those of you listening on podcast apps, we do not bother with the audio of those card episodes uploading to podcast apps because it's just
What's
like,
the point?
Hey, look at this. Awkward silence for a moment. All right, our next card. Look at this. Like it's terrible audio.
I'm going to take offense at the awkward silence for a moment. I think Mac and I do a pretty decent job of
We do fill
filling in.
Don't bother
the
defending
silence.
yourself to me.
Yeah.
I don't watch them.
They
So
have
what?
plenty.
We know you don't watch them.
They
Why
have plenty
would
of
you?
awkward-
Honestly, why would you?
Yeah, Jake, they have plenty of awkward conversation between opening.
You're
those
right.
cards.
You're right. It's not just the silences that are awkward.
Actually, in this last one, there were quite a few awkward conversations because we're trying to Google
God.
what the heck is on these sparkle cards.
yeah.
Yeah, there's these 11 like Lucky Charm cards, so I got excited, like, ooh, cereal. And then
No,
and
literally,
then
yeah, it
the
was
more
like-
realistic side of me was like, oh, maybe it's gonna be like a card for the Emperor's Cup, or like here's a Goombay, and stuff
No,
like
it's an
that.
ad.
Well,
But it was actually like Japanese idioms,
Uh-huh.
and so they wrote out like these short phrases in Romanized or the English form of
Sure.
it. But it also, like, Japanese doesn't really have like space between the words, so the cards didn't separate out
The
the
translate was
individual.
weird.
there was no dashes, there was no space, so it was all one word.
So when you like Googled it, you're not getting the right thing because Google is expecting spaces even if you're typing in like a Japanese word, and so we're just not having any luck trying
Some
to
of the
figure out
things that came
what
up.
the heck these cards mean.
We should definitely, if you're a fluent Japanese reader, we would love a little bit of like human help.
We got some we
Yeah,
get
we
some
did,
help
actually.
on
Yeah.
the trading card openings. There was somebody in the comments that there was one card I think that Mac and I just could not find, and somebody was able to
Nice.
provide us with what it meant. So
Well,
very
regardless,
much
though, my
appreciate
point was watch those on YouTube because we don't bother putting them up on Spotify, etc. But yeah, how often do you guys do that? Is it like roughly twice a year, 3 times a year?
that. 3 to 4 times a year.
Okay.
For right now, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, sumo trading cards pretty hot right now. It's every Iowa sumo practice. There's at least a little bit of like swapping what card stories you got and stuff like that.
Yeah. So thank you to Til Hadras on YouTube for telling us that Bunchokyu means lasting luck in battle.
Cool.
Could not find that when we were searching live.
Not even a little bit.
All right, we got anything else? Are we good to finally put a wrap on this epically long episode?
You've earned the right to close these episodes. So
That's a good point. Fleric opened it, so yeah, I can close it. So thank you for listening to Grand Sumo Breakdown. Throw your salt high until next time. Keep forward. I don't know, I'm just keeping the theme from the
Officially.
beginning. Officially, keep moving forward.
but unofficial, we're not affiliated with the JSA. We're not affiliated with Grand Sumo in any way, shape, or form.
Ryan?
We are the
Ryan?
unofficial.
Ryan, you shut your mouth. You don't
Yeah,
get to close it.
I closed this episode.
Know your place. You are in Microsphere ranks right now.
Oh, buddy, I'm the defending Yokozuna. Kokozuna.
In this
Yeah,
this
I think-
area, in this place, the Dai Yokozuna is king, and
I've
you
never
shut your mouth.
wielded my power.
As
like
they
this
say in
over you.
Dune, he who has control to destroy, he who can destroy a thing has control of the thing. So I'm going to hit this button right here.